I'm not a good pretender, I never could live a lie. I said too much, and let it get the best of me, until it took the rest of me. I thought it was worth the fight, to fight for what's right, to right all the wrongs, to sing in our songs, to know we belong. Now I understand. Never again. But I learned more from one enemy than from 1,000 friends. That heaven takes care of the fools and scoundrels in the end. You learn more from one lie than from 1,000 truths.
Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You've just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G, and tonight we're broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, KMPL, and Odyssey Radio. Remember the website, you can access our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Website is Spaced Out Radio, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SOR Newswire, get some official Spaced Out swag, plus rock out to some Bumblefoot and so much more. Welcome tonight, another fantastic after hours weekend. Appreciate you working through technical difficulties as we get ready to get started here. So let me go ahead and jump into the chat and see who actually came through first tonight. And I know we have something from Race Fan in here, so let me check here. And while I'm doing that, definitely appreciate everybody showing up here. We're going to have a great show with Derek Tyler. We're having some technical difficulties. Our guest tonight won't have camera access, but will be on the audio. And so what it looks like is for the goal positions, we have Race Fan at the goal, we have Princess Lion at the bronze, and then Kathy Evan at the silver. And let me see who else actually came up in here tonight. And I know this camera's a little blurry. I'll be fixing this in a moment here. Deidre, thanks for coming on in. We appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing Mr. Rob G and guest tonight. Hoping for more trivia. Maybe we have some of that. I don't really know. I mean, maybe we have something in the back pocket. We got Race Fan saying, good evening, Rob. Good evening, Race Fan. Thanks for coming in. Roger Murray, April 17, 1966, 58th anniversary Ohio UFO incident, to Portage County, Ohio State Sheriff deputies chase object moving 86 miles per hour. Police car inspired close encounter of the third kind chase. Okay, appreciate the date on that, Roger Murray. Thanks for keeping us up to date on the things we need to know. We got Deborah Jane East coming in saying hello, everyone. Thanks for coming in, Deborah. Let's see. We got Deidre C. We got Deidre C in the building saying, good morning, Lars. Appreciate you, Deidre C. Thanks for coming on in. We got Karen in the Woo Train. Another Saturday nights with Sweet Robbie G and all of SOR. Thanks for coming on in. Karen in the Woo Train. Let's see, who else do we have? Carl Bittner. Hi, Rob, and all you spacey after hour spaced out peeps. Thanks for coming in. We got Rafin saying good Saturday evening to all. Same right back to you, Rafin. Thanks for coming on in. Let's see, who else do we have? We have going down the list here. Okay, we got Paramore saying howdy, folks. Hey, Paramore, thanks for coming on in tonight. Aloha, Dave 13. Saludo a todo de Mexico. Thank you for coming on in, Dave. Keeping us bilingual. As you said, greetings to everyone from Mexico. We got welcome to the show. Appreciate you, Major Lee, with your contribution to Spaced Out Radio. We do appreciate you and everything that you do. Let's go ahead and bring the next person in. Flat Six saying, hey, everyone, with the wavy hand emoji. Hey, Flat Six, thank you so much for showing up tonight. We have, let's see, down the list, we have JSCO77 saying, greetings, do appreciate you. And I like Aloha Dave stating, SOR family, don't forget to hit that like button to help with the algorithm. Would appreciate if you wouldn't mind doing so, guys. Following Aloha Dave's lead on that. And let's see. We got Jessica S in the building. Thanks for coming in, Jessica S. Thanks for showing up here tonight. We got Phyllis Mouchette Perry. Thank you so much for coming on in, Phyllis. Appreciate you coming in tonight. Let's see, who else do we have? Eternal. Saying hi, Rob G. Hey, Eternity Eternal. Thanks for coming on in. Lana Murphy says that's my 58th birthday. All right, well, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Lana Murphy. Happy birthday to you. And oh, so many more. Thanks for coming on in and sharing your birthday with us tonight. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming on in. Let's see, who else do we got? Oh, it's a Mothman. Step in the building. That's it. Saying hi, guys. Appreciate you. Let's see, down the list. Okay, we got, let's see. At least I always got to mention the same person twice to make sure I didn't miss anyone. So once again, Flat Six saying, Rob G. What's up, Flat Six? Thanks for coming on in. And everybody spreading spreading the birthday love around. We appreciate all of you guys. Aloha Dave says, happy birthday, Atlanta Murphy. Vaughn says, hello, all my wonderful SOR open-minded friends. You definitely got that right. You definitely reached the right place. Paramar letting you know, happy birthday, Lawana. So yeah, hopefully we can have a great show for you tonight, and kind of send your birthday off with a blast, right? And what we'll do to kind of get that in right now, as you can see on the screen, we're going to go ahead and get into something called the SOR Weekly Review, as we go ahead and take a look back and see about the week that was Spaced Out Radio. Maybe there's something that you missed that you may want to go back and see. Same thing for me. Let's go ahead and take a look, and we'll be right back here in just a moment.
You just dropped your first episode, which is great, and it's on the aircraft company Boeing. Now, for people who've been following this in the news, Boeing has been in a lot of trouble because for some reason, lately, over the past number of months especially, their planes have been falling apart. Doors have been flying off. Engine compartments have been flying off. The metal around the engines has been tearing off on takeoffs. I mean, this is getting really ugly, and it's starting to worry a lot of people. What made you choose this subject as podcast number 1?
Like I said before the break, it being a mom of a son who is becoming a commercial airline pilot, I felt a kind of a duty to say, hey, these pilots are knowing what's going on, because before the whole meltdown of Boeing, pilots, everybody kind of supported Boeing. They weren't until the whole MCAS system. That's what kind of made pilots not trust Boeing anymore, which is kind of sad. But being a mom of a son who's going to become a pilot, I just felt it was a duty of mine to get this in front of the public. Now, a lot of people see the news of something falling off a plane, but do they go into it further? Why are these parts falling out? What's happening? Where did this start? What went wrong? And when I was doing a lot of my research and everything, the stuff that I was finding out about Boeing and their downfall was pretty alarming. Um, the whole issue started back even in 1997 when they merged with McDonnell Douglas. Now, McDonnell Douglas, they were kind of a tandem with Lockheed. They did a lot of military contracts building planes, but they were the ones that built the DC-10s and the DC-9s. The ones you always saw crashing back in the 70s and 80s. And they kind of just, they got absorbed by Boeing. That's when things kind of started turning. A culture changed at Boeing because Boeing was a culture of, safety, innovation, and just engineering. And it turned into kind of this just kind of factory manufacturer line, just get it on down the line. And when they merged with McDonnell Douglas was a very profit driven company. And they basically took over the boardroom at Boeing. And the culture changed, and it got to the point where they just wanted to get the planes together and out the door, get them sold as fast as they can make them. And, that started a downfall of the engineering practices.
You moved to the United States. You're trying to figure things out. What were your conclusions?
Well, like I was saying earlier, man, once I got here, now I'm living with my brother. And then one night, he just came from work and he's like, hey, have you watched this TV show? And I'm like, what is it? I cannot remember it, so don't ask me what was it. It's something about aliens. And when I saw this face on TV, that was the first time I ever seen that before. After what I saw that day. I was drinking something, I dropped it, and I started to shake. And my brother is like, man, what's going on? Are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not okay, Alan. His name is Alan. So he got up and he's hugging me. I was about to pass out, man. He goes, what's going on? And I'm like, Alan, 4 years ago, I experienced this and this and this. And that's exactly what I saw. At least very similar, very similar. I didn't know what to say, to be honest, Dave. I didn't know what an alien was. I didn't. I never got into that. But since that day, I'm like, you know what? From now on, I'm going to start paying attention to what I see on TV. And I'm going to start researching stuff. Back then, that's when the internet came out pretty much. I remember that. When you used to have the AOL thing, remember? AOL connection. And
Oh, yeah. Yes. My goodness. Waiting for the dial-up to happen.
Right. So there's me in the computer researching. And there wasn't much. I remember that. There was not a lot of stuff about aliens just yet.
Not yet. No. It opened up very quickly. When you described it in the first half hour, I immediately thought alien gray.
Mhm.
But I've never heard them going from a liquid to into a solid to
Mhm.
where you are, being captivated, pinned down by this guy. Science Bob, I think we're going to get into some remote viewing here.
We are, but before we go there, do you have any question you would like to ask Simeon?
Oh, you're giving me an opportunity.
Well, you whined last a half hour, so.
True. Simeon, I actually did want to ask you in regards to the ball lightning thing. A lot of people claim that when they are in a Sasquatch area, a paranormal area, or a UFO area, that they claim to see orbs, white orbs, going around the trees and everything. And I've seen them myself in my 2 Sasquatch areas that I have. Okay. And I'm wondering, are those little white orbs, would that be tied to ball lightning in some aspect because the phenomena is around?
Right. That's an excellent question, Dave. I am so glad you asked that. This is sort of what keeps me up at night. And here's what I think is going on. as Ken Shoulders told us, orbs, ball lightning live in a lower permittivity environment. As Bob knows, we've got permittivity and permeability as one, two. Mostly they're treated as constants in vacuum, and they determine the speed of light. It's actually on that board behind me, the formula speed of light, 1 over square root of permeability times permittivity. Any case, as you create these ball lightnings, this coherent matter, you move towards lower permittivity, which is associated with superconductivity and less easier electrical flow and so forth. And it allows ball lightning to do what it does. The opposite of this would be things that insulate, like wood and rubber and plastics and glass and things like that. So why do we get these orbs around cryptids and so forth? In my mind, there's only one answer. Both of them like to be in a lower permittivity environment, and they sort of bounce off of each other. The orbs are going to show up in a lower permittivity environment, and we know why these objects look blurry, why Bigfoot pictures often look blurry, UFOs and so forth, because they don't have a simple permittivity. It's oscillating, it's complex. And this is what we found from the artificial ball lightning studies. I mentioned Shaq Parno a few minutes ago. He said they always look blurry when they took photos of them because they're oscillating. The permittivity is not fixed like it is in things around us right here. So it's going to look blurry. And in my view, this is why everything we call paranormal looks blurry, because it has some sort of oscillating permittivity.
Lester, you're really making it easy for a lot of people to understand this topic the way you brought it down. Why did you decide to take this route rather than go hardcore scientific like so many have with the SCU or the Soul Foundation?
No, 100%. And big shout out to all of the entities that are trying to, put scientific rigor to the subject, for the modern era, like the likes of Soul and SCU, like you mentioned. I don't have a degree in science. That's not my background. One of the reasons I decided to go with this angle is I've worked at the intersection of technology, software specifically, and digital media for the greater part of 10 years in a variety of different industries. So I have a really strong understanding on how people use devices, how they consume information. How can you take and design a user experience in a way that is going to help people feel like it's Snapchat, like it's TikTok, like it's whatever, so that they actually absorb the information. And I think one of the things that was missing before we put out UAPcaucus.com was just a high production value website that's just specifically dedicated to the topic, but that did not make a claim either direction as to what the answer is, but simply laid out the available information in a few different categories for people to be able to draw their own conclusions. So a couple of features we have on there. Newsroom is super basic, some news link. We put some guides in there that sort of describe different aspects of how to think about what do we mean when we say like UFO, like what are the actual physical characteristics and how to think about it? What are some of the history points? We also have a community board where people can put up initiatives for things for us to do and build. And a really good one that came out of that was kind of like we were talking about earlier. We don't have good naming conventions, like a shared language for what this stuff is. So about 2 weeks ago, we released what we called the Origin Classification System, which is just a list of 96 theories of what the origin of UAP are that span 3 major categories: physical, psychosocial, and metaphysical. And all of the things that we would talk about all the time on spacedoutradio are covered there, where you're talking about cryptids, breakaway civilizations, or even sort of the more esoteric science concepts like that are based in string theory or quantum field theory. So it's a great, we're just trying to put thought leadership out there and give a presentation that has the look and feel that people have become accustomed to when they look at other applications. And what we've found is the response, which has been fascinating, is that we're getting folks who have not yet been exposed to the issue because the information just wasn't formed in a way that they were receptive to, now being more willing to kind of be like, that's at least that's interesting. So that's been a huge success, even just early on. And building, and again, I want to just mention this, in building on the decades of work from hundreds of researchers who have really done a lot of the groundwork. We're just putting the packaging to try to transmit that information to more people.
How does one develop their supernatural awareness? Is this something we need to work on?
It's a process, yes. I think some people, everybody's different. So some people have more of it, and some people need to work on it more. And it depends on the person. Some people are very good at it, and some people are not so good at it. Some people are afraid of it. Some people are open arms for it.
Why would somebody be afraid of it?
Because it scares them.
Is it just that simple?
It can be. It's not always. It's probably very complicated. It's like at the end of my book, I have a chapter, a little brief chapter on cynics and skeptics, and it's like they don't have any experience to connect to. They have none. They can't see it. They can't experience it. And that's until they do, they won't be able to open up.
Okay, so when you say open up, explain to our audience what that means.
Well, some people are already open when they get here. And some people, it's like Jesus in the Bible, one of the stories of Jesus where the old men come and say, Jesus, Jesus, a rabbi, she was sleeping with a married man. She's to be stoned. And Jesus touches the ground and then looks at them and says, let he who has not sinned throw the first stone.
I think there was an agenda that was pushing forward on that. And, people may not want to admit it, but this is why I asked whether or not you felt he was a company guy, that he was a guy who was going to take the role in everything. So that way, if anything bad happened, his name would be associated with it. If anything good happened, well, they'd sweep it under the rug.
He's such an enigma. He's such an enigma because he honestly looked, if you go back to those earlier hearings, he looked like cared. He looked like he was really synthesizing and analyzing all that data. And he admitted that there were cases that they didn't have an explanation for. He admitted they didn't have a good way to track these things. I mean, there were parts of it early on that looked seriously legitimate. I think that the fallout from it is, if he thought that he was going to try to keep himself safe by doing the report this way or being a company man, the fallout from it has far outweighed that Faustian bargain that he made, in my opinion, because of the public outcry, and particularly by people like Chris Mellon raising awareness about how flawed it was. That's going to mar his reputation. That the report was deeply flawed, rushed, mistakes, even a graduate level student would have checked facts, would have followed up on things, would have had this run through multiple previews. Then let's not forget that it was only offered by the DoD to a select group of news and media outlet, not, the wider audiences. It was just mainly for mainstream media, and it was a closed session. That's suspicious.
All right. As we go ahead and jump back forward in time, another awesome week right here, Spaced Out Radio. If you missed anything, definitely go ahead and jump back into the archives, youtube.com/@spacedoutradio, where the archives are just vast, deep. The options are endless, right? Just like we say here. I want to also thank Vaughn for going ahead and showing love and supporting Spaced Out Radio, saying every day is the best of Spaced Out Radio as we go ahead and conclude our SOR week in review. And just kind of touch on a couple things real quick. We're about to bring our guest in, but I want to make sure that we do go ahead and send love and some healing energy out into the world. very complicated time, and I think there are definitely people who need our positive energy. So let's kind of put it out there in the universe, and hopefully things turn out okay. Without actually going into what's going on. I'm sure a lot of you are already aware. But let's go ahead and make sure that we put out those healing energies for anybody out there that is going to need them, right? Because we're really in one of those moments. And this could be one of those deflection moments, as I always talk about. Whenever disclosure gets on the path, we always get thrown a curveball by national media or by national issues or global issues rather that occur that kind of throw things off track or at least attempt to. So could this be another diversion tactic? Possibly, but it could be also possibly the real deal, right? So don't want to play that short. Want to make sure that we send healing energies out there and make sure that we bring the peace to this world that we really need. Just want to go ahead and say that real quick before we go ahead and get into the show. As you may have noticed, we have some new music bringing us in here on the after hours, so we've changed up the theme a little bit. And I think we might rock with it. I really like the energy that it brings to the show, and we will be closing the show in a new way as well. So definitely want to go ahead and jump into this here. Van Gold has shown up saying, "Hey, Robin, SOR family, thank you for showing up tonight, Van Gold. It's going to be an awesome show. Who else do we have? Looks like that's the latest. Okay. Let's see. Brandon Coast, Rob G, what's up, bad man? All right. And let's see. Aloha Dave, referencing the new music, saying I like the new music. I do too, right? It's more. If I think it more reflects my feeling and music wise. I think everything that's represented is something you potentially could find on my playlist here. So without further delay, let's go ahead and jump into the show. We have our guest in the back, and I want to make sure we go ahead and bring him in. The guest is an author, researcher, whistleblower, and alien abductee, Mr. Derek Tyler. So let's go ahead and bring Derek to the stage. Hello, Derek. How are you this evening?
Good evening, Rob, and hello, friends. I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you on. Glad to have you on. You had come recommended, through some viewers, and I kind of throw the line out there because I want to make sure the viewers get to see the people they want to see. And sir, you were on that list, so I definitely want you to feel really great about that. You were.
It's been several
you,
years since I did radio.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I just I walked away from it for a while.
I saw that, and that makes it even more special. As anyone people will find out here, Derek has definitely been off the air for a few years. Has some excellent stuff that was going on. Like I said, he's an author, researcher, whistleblower, alien abductee. So we'll be getting into all that here tonight. And Derek, if you wouldn't mind, because the last thing I saw from you was probably 5-6 years ago. So I want to make sure that this audience gets to know you personally, and the way we start these interviews out is if you wouldn't mind kind of going back to your beginning as a child, and let us know kind of what some of your first experiences may have been, and kind of what led you into becoming an author, researcher, whistleblower, and maybe when the alien abduction happened. So if you wouldn't mind starting there, then we'll kind of pick it up from there.
Well, I didn't have any experiences to speak of when I was a small child or anything. I had one possible sighting, but the thing that, of course, I was always interested in UFOs, and when I grew up, it was during the Apollo launches. So I got to watch all those on TV. We went to school early to watch them launch on the little black and white TVs they used to have at the schools, back in those days. That was all we had. And in 1984, when I guess I would have been like 26 years old, I had quite an extraordinary sighting. I was at my parents' house out in their front yard, and it was just as the sun was going down, it was getting dark, and I saw a very large UFO hovering beside a hospital facility that was used for severely retarded people that needed constant care. And it was big, and it was lit up. It was disc shaped. It had a row of red and blue and yellow lights around the center that looked like the lights were spinning around in a circle, like a belt on the craft. They were just changing color, but it made it look like they were spinning around. And I watched that for 22 minutes, and then two F-16s came jetting in from eastern Washington, which would have been, I think, McCord Air Force Base or Fairchild. I can't remember which one's eastern Washington, but it takes them just that long to get there on where I was at on full throttle with their burners going, and they started buzzing this thing one at a time, coming really close to it, and it completely ignored them. It was so low to the ground, I could have walked up to it and slapped it if I'd have wanted to get that close to it. And it stayed for another 20 minutes. So it was really a long sighting. Most sightings, of course, only last for a minute or seconds sometimes, But this lasted for a total of 42 minutes.
Wow.
And then this craft raised up in the air and just enough to get over a small hill that was behind this hospital, and went over the hill and then down again out of sight with the fighters still following it. So that was the first time in my life that all my hair stood on end, was when I saw that thing, because I knew it wasn't from this planet. This was in central Washington State, and it changed everything, because nobody could tell me they didn't exist after that, or that the Air Force didn't know all about it. So that started, that's when I got serious about things. And I've really dedicated most of my adult life to researching that and some related subjects. And I've learned more than I ever thought I would learn, and I've developed a network of connections that was better than I ever could have dreamed of. So I'm very grateful for both of those things. And it's been a never-ending, fascinating journey. And no matter how much you learn, there's always so much more that you don't know, that it never ends.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you said that. This is definitely, and that's why I think I said something about this yesterday. I was in this chat, and I made a statement saying, I hated when you have people out here in this field that perpetrate that they know everything. I don't know where the basis of that comes from, how someone can feel like they have learned everything that there is to learn about this phenomenon. So impossible, right? Until
somebody asked what year somebody asked what year that incident was. It was the summer of 1984.
84. Okay.
And all the top people in this field, they're almost all my friends. Some of them have been my friends for 20 years or more, and none of them knows everything, and none of them ever pretends that they will. It's too vast. There's too much to know, and you just simply can't learn that much in one lifetime. It's not possible.
You said it the best. That is a perfect way of putting it. Yeah. I'm even under the impression that when we talk to the ETs, when we get to do that we'll end up finding out, once we pick their brain of all the knowledge they have that we don't, I think we'll even find out that they don't even know the answer to everything. So I think that's kind of what we're setting ourselves up for. And then another thing that you bring up, which anytime someone, it comes from every person I talk to says this same thing about how it changes you once you have that experience, because these things are there. And so that's and when you say it, there's people out there who haven't had an experience, who don't really understand the impact of that statement. But I totally get it. Like, you're changed forever once you have these sightings.
Absolutely, you can't go back, because you might say it's a small answer, but it's really a big answer, because some people can spend their whole life on that question and never get the answer to it, and so they're stuck at square one forever. And once you know they're there, that's a big thing, because you never have to bother with that question again. And anybody that says they're not, that they're either ignorant or lying.
Yes, you're so right about that, and I think I brought this up a couple weeks ago. And that part of it is what saddens me sort of about what's going on here, because there are so many dedicated people to this subject that are probably even here in the chat who have gone their entire lives and just still haven't seen anything, even though they hold the hope that they will at some point. And it's just a magical time where it's just the your reality shifts once that happens. And I've only recently had a sighting with, in 2022 was my very first and only sighting. So I've literally been in that boat where I've gone all my life without seeing anything. But then the moment that I had the sighting, it definitely shifted and changed things. So when they say, when you have a Mick West or some of these debunkers out there that look at some of these videos or images and they try to write them off as something mundane, I can sit here within me and say, no, no, there's definitely something to this. And I know you're in that same boat.
There aren't any true skeptics around. A real skeptic is someone who asks for proof before they believe in something. And then when you give them the proof, they either have to debunk it and debunk it in a legitimate manner, or they have to accept it and change their mind about something.
Yes.
But what you have now are dogmatists. They won't accept any evidence, even though there's mountains of it, really, if you want to get technical. There's mountains of evidence everywhere. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of films of ETs, ET craft, and they simply ignore it and pretend it doesn't matter. That's not a skeptic, that's a dogmatist. And they'll never change, and they'll never do anybody any good because they're on the wrong side of history.
Wow. Yeah, we align. We align more than you know on that with that perspective, cuz yeah, I feel the same way. I've done a whole show around that. I think there, and even on our side of the conversation, which would be an experiencer slash believer side of it, there's what I call extremists on each side of the conversation.
All right.
The ones you were mentioning, the dogmatists, are the extreme skeptics who are just closed minded, who just believe in not believing that something is
I don't
possible.
believe in alien contact. I know alien contact is a fact. It's not a
Exactly.
Santa Claus is something you believe in. Aliens are either there or they're not, and they are indeed there.
Exactly. But then on the flip side of that, in our community, and I'm sure you've noticed this as well, you have people on our side of the conversation that don't need any evidence to believe. They just they'll take anything. They it doesn't matter. They won't research it. They'll just take your word for it and kind of go with it. When really everyone should look at this and kind of make their own judgment on what it is they're seeing, or if they feel like they've hit that disclosure point or not. So it's awesome to hear you speak these things. Now you ended up down the line, kind of getting into you states an alien abductee, right? So
Yeah.
how many encounters have you had over your lifetime? And then let's talk about some of the abductee experiences.
Well, I've been abducted more times than I can count. There's nothing good about it. There's nothing friendly about an abduction ever. Friendly aliens would not abduct you. It was sometimes by the Greys, it was sometimes by our own military. They abduct a lot of people, a lot more than anyone would imagine. And they try to make it appear that they are Greys themselves, so that when people remember it, nobody will pay any attention to them. But sometimes they were coming for me as much as 3 times a week. This was probably in my mid-30s. And it wears you out, man, because first thing you do is you try to stay awake all the time, you know. You think if I can just stay awake all night, they won't come. But that doesn't work. They can put you to sleep when they want to. They can put everyone in your house asleep when they want to. But it does make you really tired from trying after a while, you know. So it was nothing good, and that happened it kept happening for years, and I finally got it to stop, but I didn't get it to stop. I spoke to a friend of mine who's a Native American medicine woman, a shaman, and I was telling her about it, and she just flew into a rage, and she said, I'll put a stop to that, and she did. I don't know what she did or how she did it. She said, I'll send my my spirit guides out to protect you, my animal spirit guides. I don't know. I don't really understand that. I don't know what she did, but they never took me again after that day.
So let me ask you this, because I heard you say, which is a very important thing to go back to, is that you feel like the alien abduction experience is not a great one. And a lot of people say the opposite. They say, you know what? When I was in their hands, I felt warm and I felt protected. Now you mentioned a totally
That's
different
bullshit.
experience.
Yeah.
Now
You
let me ask you this though.
abduction is a capital offense, by the way.
Yeah, and
This
I'm with
country.
you on that. I'm with you on that. So, do you feel like? So, is it? Would you say it's your perception that the experience is bad from the experiencer standpoint, or would you say their intent is malevolent in the reason why they're doing these abductions?
Oh, I think both. The grays are the grays we're talking. There are a number of different kinds of grays, but the grays that we're talking about, the kind that everybody knows, with the big almond-shaped black eyes, that's actually a covering for their eyes that protects them from bright lights. But they are they're a cyborg form of life. They're they're not a natural race, naturally occurring race. They're a created race, and they work for the draconians basically. And I think that our military has some of their own now, but they are single-minded. They will absolutely obey whoever's orders is in charge of them. They don't care about anything else. They don't have any emotions. They're told to abduct someone and perform experiments on them or do medical procedures on them. That's what they'll do. They don't care about what you want. They don't care if you're afraid. They don't care if you're in pain at all. They simply carry out their orders, and that can be very unpleasant because your comfort is not in their consciousness at all. I don't think anyone who's been abducted could possibly think that it's a positive experience. I mean, there have been alien experiences which are positive, but they don't involve being forcibly taken from your home into an alien craft.
You would think the word abduction is not a good word, and then the experience that you mentioned, and I guess if you could go into detail on what makes it a negative experience for you, like what.
Well, it's a bit hard to do. I wrote most of that out in my first book, uh, Alien Abductions or Alien Contact: The Difficult Truth, but they don't like you to talk about it. And when I try to talk about it, my chest tightens up and my throat gets closed up, so I almost can't talk. But I'll try. Um, it's first of all, they came into my bedroom at like 2 or 3 a.m. when I was asleep, and it was almost like they were on a schedule because it was always within 2 minutes of the same time every time. It was almost always like 2 minutes till 2 a.m. that they would come and take me, and I don't know how they I don't know how they did it, but they either teleported in or they have a device that attaches to the waist that apparently it matches their density to the density of the wall or door in front of them, and then they can just walk through it like they're walking through water. Um,
Mm.
I saw one of our military people do that once during a military abduction. He had it. He walked right through a locked door and came out leading the two people that lived in that apartment by the hand. They were like in a trance, but but it's a artificially it's an artificial device that does that, and they they've performed surgeries on me. I When I was a kid, I used to always think the coolest thing in the world would be to get to speak to a being from another world. I always imagined that I'd ask them questions that only an alien could answer, and they would tell me the answers. Like a kid would imagine. I didn't understand how almost impossible that was to actually have that happen. But it did happen. But it wasn't like I imagined. They didn't answer anything for me, and the only thing I ever got to, you're absolutely completely stunned when they have you in their control and possession. Um, you can't even put the thoughts together that it might be a good idea to try to escape. you're just absolutely nullified, and you do what they say, you follow them where they tell you to go. And the only thing I ever said was to them was twice. I said, "Oh no, please don't do that." It took all the force I could have to say it, and it just came out in a tiny little whisper. And it was terrible. There's just nothing good about it at all. You get scared, you get paranoid, because even if you try to stay up, all of a sudden you'll have waves of tiredness, sleepiness come over you, and within 5 minutes you'll be asleep, no matter how hard you try not to. And that's when they'll come. And 3 times a week is a lot.
Yeah. One time a week is too much for me. One time period is too much for me.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of go ahead and get into that. We'll speak more about the abduction experience on the other side of this break. Right now, we're gonna go ahead and pause for the cause as we get ready to take our first break of the night. And then we will be back with our guest here, Derek Tyler. So, Derek, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll go ahead and be right back here on After Hours. See you guys in just a moment. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio after hour number 2 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, as we welcome back our guest, Derek Tyler. Derek, we were just talking about the alien abduction aspect, and I like your outlook on it. You stating that these things to you don't seem like they are benevolent. And I want to focus on that for a moment because there's so many people probably, if I had to gauge, probably 60-70% of people that I talk to that are alien abductee experiencers say that they felt good about this. The message was great. Everything was good. What was your message? Did you receive any messages in particular about why they were doing this?
No.
And what are your ideas on why they were doing this?
Well, one thing to keep in mind is it's not the only kind of aliens out there. There are many, many different types of alien races. And that's not the only type of alien race that abducts people either. And sometimes those people are not returned. There are a number of alien races which are known to consume people. They eat us for dinner and they like it. And the Greys consume human blood. So it's not a straightforward thing. You know, you can't really get a handle on how many alien races there are out there. Some of them certainly are friendly, but the friendly races do not seem to be in control of this area or this planet, let's say. As I understand it, we're located within the Draco Empire, and the other races either have to have permission to come here, or they come in at great risk to themselves. So, and I've had the good fortune of meeting an alien that was friendly, and it's amazing. But it's someone I consider a friend of mine. They look just like us, but they're 6'10", and but that had nothing to do with the abductions. I don't think there's any such thing as an alien that will take you against your will, which is friendly and has friendly intentions. They do it for their own purposes, and they don't care about whether you like it or not.
All right, and I want to get into, you mentioned something I haven't really ever heard before about the Greys consuming human blood. So what do you think, when they put us on those tables, I haven't been abducted as far as I know, but when they put experiencers on these tables, what do you think it is? Because some people get into the whole hybridization aspect of this. Like, what do you think their purpose for examining human beings are? Or
Well,
some
I don't think they're necessarily examining us. They know us better than we know ourselves. This has been going on for a very long time, and they clone us, and they do various surgeries to us. I don't know the purpose of that. I've told that the clones are, and I saw 6 clones of myself when I was being abducted. They looked like they were standing in a row with their heads bowed, like they were robots that had never had the on switch turned on in their power. And it took me a minute to realize I was looking at copies of myself. I'm told they use them for colonizing other worlds, to add to the population, or for slaves, or to sell as slaves on the galactic black market, I guess. So I don't know, but it's not a positive outcome no matter how you look at it. You know, it's something that we can't stop from happening, and it's something our government can't stop from happening. That's one reason that you're never going to see full disclosure, not in our lifetimes, not even close to it, because there's nothing to gain and everything to lose as far as the government's concerned. First thing they have to say is, we can't control our airspace. Sorry about that. You know, we can't defend ourselves from them. We can't stop them from taking you. We're sorry. Nobody's going to buy that, you know, and nobody's going to say it. The president can't even order a disclosure to happen, because there are when the president comes into office, he's granted a security clearance of 16 levels above top secret, of classified, compartmented information. But there are another 16 levels above that that he doesn't even know exist. And the only way that he can find out they exist is if someone who has those classifications tells him, and they don't tell him, because they don't want to risk the president well, as a friend of mine who was at the time he was a colonel in the Air Force said, uh, in a few years the president's going to be out of office and he'll never give an order to anyone again in his life. But the military will remain and the aliens will remain. And we're not going to take a chance that some do-gooder is going to stop our alien programs. By far the most expensive undertaking the human race has ever even thought of touching.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy. I feel the same way. Yeah, I'm with you. I totally feel the government.
Just what he needs to know in order to do his job, and that's all he knows.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I've seen that. So many levels of clearance above the president. Um, and you're right. Yeah, I'm sure they do know that we're being abducted. So, and they can't do anything about it. Obviously, they don't want to tell the people that. And I'm with you as far as the disclosure will never come from them. So, I feel like obviously it's something that we have to do together, and we have all the data to make it happen. But with that being said, that's actually a great segue into, because I know you authored a couple books, and I actually have them up here. If I could bring them up here, you've authored a couple books here, which we have Alien Contact Paradigm Shift, which is what the show is titled after. Then we also have Alien Contact: The Difficult Truth. The difficult truth, paradigm shift, very powerful phrases. Where could you which book came first, and if you could kind of describe what went into creating the book?
The difficult truth came first. It took me a year and a half to write. It took me 9 months just to write my abduction experiences, to force them out of myself and force myself into writing them down, even though I've distilled them all into a chapter or two. It was very difficult to write about, and it was very difficult to, well, you have to kind of relive it when you write about it, and it's not a pleasant thing to do. But it has a lot of, it's 100% true. I didn't invent anything. I didn't make up anything. I don't deal in speculation or assumptions. I don't deal in opinions. I don't care what anyone's opinion is, including my own, because I'm not here for opinions. I'm here to find the truth about things, whatever it may be. I don't care what it is. I don't favor one side or the other. If they're good or bad, I don't favor one side or the other. I just want to find out what it is, and that's quite a valuable thing it's a valuable way to go about your research. I recommend it for everyone. Don't favor one side or the other, because it'll make you tip the balance when you shouldn't. And it has an interview, or a couple of interviews that I did with the person I just named as the colonel. He retired as a general, and he educated me quite a bit about aliens, and sat me down and gave me some off the record talks about it. And it's got a chapter called How to Make a Skeptic Cry, which I'm quite proud of, because you can shoot down any skeptic if you read that chapter. You'll never have to worry about them again, and I never did. So it's really full of information. It's almost information overload. So you want to read it kind of slowly, just to give yourself a chance to absorb it all. But I think it's quite a good book, and it was the #1 bestseller for a short time. Both of them were. I think it's the only book I know of that knocked off Chariots of the Gods out of the #1 spot.
Ooh,
at least for a little while.
Ooh, that's big. That's big right there. So let me ask you this. So more specifically, the difficult truth. Without obviously giving up the book, what is your definition of the difficult truth?
Well, the difficult truth is, first of all, we've never been alone here. There's always been an alien presence here, since before there were humans, and our history is laced with alien contact all throughout history and all over the world. And the difficult truth is that they are not all friendly to us, and that we are completely, our future as a society and as a race in existence depends upon our interaction with alien beings that we don't know, we don't understand, but they have the ability to take us out easily anytime they want to. I mean, they could do that anytime, and they could. All you got to do is drop a big rock on us, and we're toast. From one way
Yeah.
of looking at it, and that's certainly not the extent of their capabilities. They've got many ways they could take us out if they wanted to. So we're living on their forbearance, really, and that is a difficult truth to accept because some people don't even want to believe that aliens exist. But the truth is, the existence of aliens has been well proven, and it affects all of us every day, whether we realize it or not. And we've spent uncounted trillions of dollars on these projects that is never accounted for.
Wow. So, what do you think,
Our
in your
military knows
view?
all about this too, and they're in contact with many races of aliens, and they've made agreements with aliens who are not our friends. They've traded our lives for technology. We have technology that's so far ahead of what the civilian world has seen that it'd blow your mind.
So, what do you think the end goal is for the ETs? What do you think? What do you see our future is post disclosure? How do you
Well,
think it happens? And then what do you think? What do you think things are going to be like on the other side?
I don't know what things are going to be like. I don't think disclosures is imminent in any way. I don't think it's going to be coming in our lifetimes because there's too much to lose. The people would bring down the government to stop it from doing what it's doing if they knew the truth. We are valuable to aliens in the sense that they can use us. They can take us as captives. They can use us as slaves. They can use us as consumables if they want to, and they can put implants in us and track us like we were a deer with a tag on our ear, if they want to. And it just depends on who is the most powerful aliens, I suppose, and what happens. As I understand it, the Draco are the most powerful, and they are reptilian species. They think of us as we think of cattle. Like they put up with us, but they don't like us. And there are friendly aliens too, of course, but they are not in control. And you can't name anything positive that they've really done for us, as far as a race. You can say the Pleiadians are friendly if you want to, but what have they done for us as a race? I don't know of anything.
Right.
I've heard many people say, "Oh, they're friendly." Well, what have they done? What have they done? Tell me, because I don't know.
I agree with you, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, how could you come to these conclusions without enough data to kind of even say that? What did they? Yeah, your experience may have been nice during the abduction, and no one seems to even consider the fact that maybe you're being deceived at some point. Maybe the things that they're telling you aren't their true intentions. I just want to bring this up because we have Vaughn, who is, thank you for your support of Spaced Out Radio, Vaughn. Vaughn is stating that they disagree. I've been taken by Lyrans, who are what we know as cat people. I'm a Lyran starseed, and they've told me they will not let us be harmed by any beings. We'd be gone otherwise by now if they wish so. So
Well,
I guess
that's.
yeah,
I've
there
heard,
you go.
Do you know how many people I've heard tell me they're star seeds? Hundreds. But how do I know that? You got paperwork? I mean, I'm not saying you're not, but how do I know
Sure.
that? And I agree that the cat people exist. I agree with that, and that they are friendly. I agree with that too. But saying that they'll not let us be harmed, it's not true. People are killed by aliens. People are abducted by aliens all the time, every night. And I don't think anyone can stop that from happening. They certainly haven't stopped it from happening. If they did, there wouldn't be any more reports of being abducted. But there
Yeah.
are.
Nah, I'm with you, and I actually agree with you on that as well. The we be gone otherwise by now if they wish so. Whenever that comes up, whenever someone says that, I usually always feel the same way about that. Like, just like I said, how do you know they aren't setting us up for the long play? How do you know that what they have relayed to you is in fact not true or false information? Like, we don't have any results to compare to say one way or the other. So it's a good thought, and I would hope, maybe that would be a good perspective that we'd be gone otherwise now if they wish so. So thanks for the support on that, Vaughn. Thanks for your input on that as well. And yeah, it's a hot button thing there, because a lot of people make that statement that, yeah, they've been here all this time. So if they wanted to get us out of here, they would have done this a long time ago.
Well,
What do you feel about that?
There's a good reason that some alien races look like us. No, we look like them, because we are a genetically engineered race, and their DNA was used to create us. Otherwise, you can't. It's too much against the odds that you'd have Pleiadians that look just like humans, or other races that look like humans also. It's not, evolution doesn't work that way, If all aliens were friendly and peaceful, there wouldn't be any reason to keep it such a secret all these years. And they're so determined to keep it a secret that they've killed literally thousands of people, sometimes just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely questions that need to be answered before I feel like you could come to any sort of conclusion like that. And that's just like you stated. I feel like as well that some of these abduction victims, I'll call them victims because I feel like they are, but that some of them don't get brought back. Now, someone did, I think it was Deb Shakti who I interviewed before. I think it was her. There was a point brought up that maybe they are not just simply taking those people and not bringing them back, but maybe those people decided not to be brought back. Like maybe it was more of the abductees' decision on if they come back or not.
I don't believe that.
Okay, I wanted your input on that. Okay,
there's no one's going to agree to not be brought back to their home. That's ridiculous, in my opinion. That's just New Age fantasy.
Okay.
I simply don't agree with it, and. I'm told that it's my understanding that we pay a ransom in human lives in order to keep from being fully invaded every year. We give them people. We abduct our own people and turn them over to the aliens, and they use them as food, I guess. And the gray aliens themselves, they don't have a working digestive system like we do. What they have is they soak themselves in vats of human blood. They can use cattle blood if they have to, but they prefer human blood. And they take in the nutrients through the pores in their body, and they excrete it through the pores later. And that's one reason many people have reported that their ships smell terrible. That's why. It's the more you learn about it, the scarier it gets, honestly. But we are not a naturally occurring race. Evolution it's simply impossible that we evolved the way that they tell you that we did in the theory of human evolution. There's not time for that to happen, and there's not any reason for that to happen. You don't take black people that have them walk into China, and 10,000 years later, you've got Chinese people. That's not how it works.
Right.
That's ridiculous and impossible.
Right. I'm with you. And I appreciate the objective perspective on it because, like I said, some people, in one key word you used there was scary. And I think a lot of people, when they come up across that feeling, that emotion, or even that word, that they immediately throw up a guard and kind of look at it like they don't want to feel that way. They don't want to feel scared.
I don't want to feel that way either, but
Right.
that's the way if you follow the evidence, that's where it leads you. I tell people, if you want to know the truth, follow the trail of dead bodies and it'll lead you there.
Well, I can say it's very compelling because there are for sure questions that have to be answered. Like when you go into the David Politis and the missing 411, those are questions that have to be answered.
Right.
So,
yeah, and you don't just disappear. You don't go into a national forest and just vanish. They'll find your shoes. They'll find yourself. If a bear eats you, they're going to find your clothes. You don't just vanish, but those people vanish. Hundreds, thousands of them.
Yeah, and yeah. I mean, I've always said that I think common sense will answer a lot of these questions. Just really using common sense, and common sense is if you have a group of people. It blew my mind when they talked about how many people actually went missing just here in the United States
Yeah.
each year, and it was something like I couldn't believe the number. It was like 4, 5, 600,000 people, which is mind blowing.
And
And
what
then
do
a
you do with that
percentage
many
of those
people?
don't ever show back up. Yeah, exactly.
You can't hide them.
Exactly.
You can't hide that many people anywhere. So what happens to them? They're taken somewhere, but they're not. They're not found again. And it happens all over the world. It's not just in the USA. They take people from. Oh, you go to someplace like India where they have kids that are in families that are so poor nobody cares if they're taken. Nobody's going to look for them, and they just take them for free.
And this is one thing I wonder. I wonder if, because obviously we've had extraterrestrial movies that have come out over the years, and some of them have they're supposed to be based in this science fiction world. But now we know that this is actually a plausible thing, and some of the different types of ETs that we've seen in movies are potentially the types that we could come across. So I feel like for a lot of the people that look at Love and Light, they probably watch like E.T. the Extraterrestrial, but won't watch something like Aliens or something where there's a malevolent presence there. And I think it's a natural thing for a human to, or for anything living in nature to experience fear. And I don't want to come across as a fear monger because I know that's how it's perceived when you speak like we're speaking today. But I am more under the belief and feeling that it's just better to prepare yourself for either side of the conversation, right? Because hopefully it goes great, and yes, the ones we meet are benevolent. But then, if you didn't prepare yourself for the possibility of this going left, then I think you're doing yourself and the people around you a disservice. Let's
Big
see.
universe out there, and anything you can imagine exists. Any type of alien civilization you can think of, it's out there. There are slave races, there are conquering races, there are empire builders, there are friendly races. There are anything that you can imagine, and we're not special. We barely develop space travel ourselves. We're in no position to argue with any of them. We're certainly in no position to confront them. But to think that there aren't evil aliens, it's foolish. It's simply foolish.
Yeah, I
There's
agree.
been many times that they've shown that they are hostile and that they will attack us. They've attacked our military units. They've attacked our people. And to pretend that isn't happening is just simply hiding your head in the sand. We gotta figure out what the truth is and deal with that, whatever it turns out to be.
Yeah. I was in a conversation with someone, and they were really on that benevolent, good feeling side. And I opposed them and kind of posed the question of, I gave examples because they were under the belief that there had never been a situation where ETs have shown themselves as being aggressive towards humans. And I brought up a few different cases. They had the pilot in Iran who went and, fought or chased the ET in his jet. We had the Tom DeLonge, which I think that's where people start wanting to pick apart Tom DeLonge, but he simply told a story about these ETs that were off the coast of Italy, I believe, that were using some sort of high energy weapons, and things were catching on fire. And they went out to kind of see what was going on. They saw them out in the ocean. They kind of went out there, flew out there, and there was an ET craft that popped up out of the water, shot at the helicopter, and then went back down into the water. So there's definitely cases where these things have shown aggression, which should be noted and put on the table because, yeah, I think you'd be silly to, put yourself in a position where you weren't at least open to the fact that there is another side to this,
Yeah,
right?
and we are. There have been many reports that clearly show that we are not at the top of the food chain, and it's uncomfortable to believe. It's something I would not want to believe, but it's been widely reported by good sources that the Draco do indeed eat humans, especially kids. And we're not the top of the food chain, and there's no reason we should assume that we are. You know, we're just like a primitive. We're a race of monkeys that drive cars, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty much. And let me get this question out of the way. Vaughn, thank you again for your support of Spaced Out Radio. Vaughn has posed another comment or statement here. It says, I believe many don't want to be returned. We live in hell, and why not see what is out there if given the choice? They would have deleted us eons ago. Stephen Greer has it correct. Free
Stephen Greer does
will.
not have it correct. Stephen Greer thinks that no aliens are here with harmful intentions at all, that they're all here to be our friends. That's bogus. And he's been around long enough and he's smart enough to completely know that. So he's been forced or is making money from saying the opposite, because you don't have to study aliens very long to know that it's just simply not true that they're all here to be our friends. There wouldn't be any reason to hide this stuff. They'd just say Santa Claus arrived in the form of an alien, folks, here he is. But that's not happening. You know, it's the military has this all locked up. NASA is not responsible for our space program. They're nothing but a puppet show. They're a PR exercise. Our real space program has always been run by the military. They're never going to let civilians have technology that's that powerful.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Believe me, I've looked at all sides of this, and like you
And
said
Earth is not
earlier,
flat either, by the way.
Earth is definitely not flat. I think we can say that for
That's
sure.
a
Here.
psyop.
That's 100%. Yeah. So with that being said, because I think the whole when we get into these conversations, and I'll just lay this out. I think the purpose of having the conversations are to have conversations that are logical and that make sense. It's not really about what you believe, because we don't know all the answers yet. So you can't really be set one way on one side or the other, like we talked about earlier. And I think it's just you are doing yourself a disservice if you take one stance or the other. Now, just say what you could say is that all of your experiences with ETs have been benevolent, but that doesn't paint the whole picture of everyone's experience. So I think it's just really important for that to be put out there. And, you have to look at a situation where, evil and good pertain to things that we view here on Earth. Some people will say ETs have elevated past a point to where they don't even deal with that. They've ascended and they've defeated, any notion on that of doing something bad to another species out there in the cosmos. But I don't think you get past that, because I think that there is always a situation where there's always a situation where you have to be on guard, period, because we're all life forms created under this in the same universe. So there has to be an element of good and bad out there, period.
And they don't see
Outside of our
themselves as
world.
bad necessarily. The
There you
draconians
go.
don't see themselves as bad any more than we saw ourselves as being evil for basically wiping out the Native Americans. We did it. We thought we were doing the right thing, right? We didn't see ourselves as being evil or doing anything evil, but we did it. It was certainly evil if you're a Native American, wasn't it?
Right. And that's why I say, we have Travis Musus on the show, and I always talk about going back into, the natives and their whole understanding, and kind of picking their brain on what they think this is, because I think they have more of a full, complete picture of what's going on than we ever will in this, society that we currently live in. And let me go ahead and I want to make sure I tell everybody that if you have any questions, please put them in caps so I can make sure I tag them and get those questions asked. So let me see. With that being said, um, when we get into your other book, The Paradigm Shift, so what do you see as the paradigm shift, and like the moment that we're in? What is the hopeful view for how humans handle this contact, and then how we ascend, or what we should develop into going forward?
Well, that's a difficult question. We're we're already handling it through our military, unfortunately. Um, they've got access to all the technology. They've got access to direct contact with the aliens whenever they want it. So they're guiding and directing our interactions with aliens as it is. The aliens interact with humans too sometimes, but the main focus is, of course, through our military, which has massive unlimited amounts of funds, and basically almost 100 years of experience at this. And still, the only thing they've told us is, well, we saw something, we don't know what it was, off a Navy carrier once. That Tic Tac thing. Well, that's all they've said in 100 years. Yeah, disclosure's coming next week, folks. I don't think so. You know, uh, it's hopeful that we can navigate our way through this, that we can interact peacefully with aliens, of course, and some that we certainly will be able to. But we have to keep in mind that we're all but defenseless against them if they decide to turn against us, or come here already not liking us, or not inclined to be friends with us. What are we going to do to defend ourselves? How do you kill an orbital fleet? You can't do it with our technology, and we're basically at their mercy. So I don't know what you hope for, really. I think that our military has made some very bad choices, and that they've allied themselves with aliens which are not our friends, just for the purpose of gaining technology, military technology mostly. And there's not much we can do about it. As the colonel said once to me, you can't sue the government because you don't know who to sue. Who are you going to sue for abducting you? You don't have no names. What do you do?
Yeah. So, and I don't think. Do you think that would? Do you think that the government stays in a power position and stays involved after disclosure?
I don't think that you're ever going to get full disclosure, because
Now, when I say disclosure, I don't mean, because I said that earlier, but when I say disclosure, I don't mean government disclosure. I mean when we look at like catastrophic disclosure versus controlled. So, say tomorrow the ETs just show up, the government has no control over that disclosure, so we're forced into a confirmation disclosure moment. And do you think that if the people are like, wow, okay, this is going on, we can sit now, we have a chance to formulate our future? Do you see the government, us as humans and humanity, allowing these powers to continue being in power on the other
I
side
wouldn't
of
think
the?
so. I think we'll only, for one thing, we're only going to be told what they want us to hear. Whoever is responsible for such a kind of a disclosure, we're only going to be told what they want us to hear. And we have no way of knowing anything more, do we? I don't think that we'd ever approve of what our governments have done, but we are stupid and powerless compared to these alien races. I mean, some of these races appear to have had star travel for millions of years. You can't imagine the technologies that they've come up with since then. It's beyond our ability to even imagine. So you can't catch up to them. You can't compete with them. What do you do? I don't know. But we're going to be in the. It's never good when an industrialized civilization comes into contact with Stone Age civilization. There's only going to be one winner, and it's not going to
Yeah.
be the Stone Age civilization, and that's what we are compared to them. So it's a difficult problem. I don't have the answer. It's one of the millions of answers I wish I had, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I give a good. I think a perfect one thing we're lucky to have as is some nations that are disconnected from civilization, current civilization. So you have like the Sentinelese, who are a tribe that are on an island, I think, right outside of India, and they have been disconnected from modern civilization for like I think they said they separated from Africans like 70,000 years ago. So it's a perfect way to kind of look at what they're going through, the fact that they don't know about tablets and internet and these sorts of things, even though it's right outside of their reach. And they kind of see this world that's out there because they have visitors that had come by over time, so they know there's something more to what's going on out there, and then they get introduced into what current technology is, and they're like blown away on what they're seeing and kind of understanding that it's more than what they thought. So when we look at the universe, if that tribe were to step out into the world now, it would be so many different things at their grasp. And I think it's the same thing for us as humans when we look out into the universe. Like that is that vast ocean, and it's normal for what's going on out there. It's not we're just coming up to speed on what's happening out there, but their interactions and dealings and goings ons out there have been it's a normal thing for them, right? But once we get acclimated into what's going on out there, we'll kind of understand, oh, this is just regular stuff. Oh, this is, okay, these ETs don't like them. Okay, this is a good planet to go. This one's a bit no different than what we see here on Earth. I think that's going to be the parallel is going to be that we're going to see that the same things that we're dealing with here are the same, just on a larger scale when you look out there into the universe.
To them, it is normal. They've got trade treaties. They've got conflicts and wars between alien races. They've got it all, and they've had it for a long time, and we just aren't aware of it. And as far as us getting along, the public getting along with aliens, well, I don't know. Look at Alabama; they can't even get along with their black and white neighbors. Think how they're going to be when the cat people come or the lizard people come. You think they're going to like that? I don't think so. It's not going to be an easy thing.
I agree with you there. And we have actually, we got our question guy out there, Sovereign Cosmic Wildman. He has a few in here that definitely wants me to get to for you. So let me go ahead and jump into a few of these questions. So let me get that one off. Sovereign is asking you, what strategies do you suggest to stay off reptilian radar?
Oh, I don't know that you can. I think that if they want you, they're gonna have you, and you can't stop it from happening. They've got technologies that will allow them to find you and to take you anytime they choose, any place you choose to go. You can't really hide from them. If they haven't taken you by the time you're an adult, most of the time I think you're pretty safe from worrying about that, because they typically start taking people at around the age of 7 for most abductees. I don't think you can stay off of their radar. It's just that we've got so many people here that they don't, the odds are that they're going to not take you, of course. They're not going to take 8 billion people because it's not necessary. I don't know that you can stay off their radar. I certainly don't know of a way to do it.
Okay, then we get to the next one here. Saab is also asking, are there any white hats defending humanity from the reptilian agenda?
I think there are, yes. But it's a difficult thing to do. It's a very difficult thing to do because, as I understand it, the reptilians have superior technology to just about anyone you can name. And they're not friendly to a lot of these other races which are trying to help us. So what do you do to help defend humanity? Are you going to take a chance of making the reptilians mad at you have them go snuff out your home sun? I don't know. That's something I would consider before I did it, because they don't owe us any favors.
Right.
I mean, yes, there certainly are races which are friendly to us and which try to assist us, but it only goes so far. They can't make the reptilians go away, and we can't either. We can't kick their ass, and we can't make them leave. So that leaves you in a tough situation.
And we're one of a bazillion planets, right, that they're probably watching or monitoring. So I do understand that. Let me see. Sovereign is also asking, why is it they usually leave one shoe or at times a pair of shoes when they abduct someone?
Oh, I've never heard of that. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think that's really the case. It doesn't make sense.
Okay. And then let me see. Sovereign is also asking.
And when they came for me, they didn't come for me when I was wearing shoes. They came for me when I was in bed, asleep,
Okay, maybe Sob can elaborate on that. But Sovereign is asking also, what are the facial features or characteristics of someone that's been replaced or cloned?
Well, in most ways, they look identical to the person that they were cloned from. I'm told that there are some small differences, but there's no real way of telling what those might be. And I'm told that clones don't live as long, that they're only good for a few years and they have to be recloned again. So I'm certainly not an expert or anyone to ask about that, but I mean, you can look at pictures of the presidents and you can see small differences in their earlobes, in their eyes. There are small differences in the way that they look, as if they have been cloned. I don't know that they have. I'm not saying that, but it's a possibility to keep in mind, because they certainly do have differences. You can't change your earlobes, but some of them have big earlobes and they're small, or ears are close to their head than they're not. I mean, you can check the differences over time, and you can judge for yourself. But there are a lot of clones. There are a lot more than we think, and we don't really have any easy way to prove it or to tell.
All right. And we have Bim Jim. So Jim is asking, how long have aliens been doing science?
Oh, longer than we've been alive, longer than we've existed as a race. I mean, I think that they had star travel when we were genetically engineered. Of course, it doesn't make sense that somebody's going to voluntarily immigrate from Alaska, from Africa, where there's food everywhere on the ground to pick up and eat, up to Alaska, where there's nothing to eat, or to Siberia. Oh, yeah, I think they'll just walk up to Siberia. Nobody's that stupid, It makes more sense that we were separated by geography, and they tried out different versions of human 1.1, 1.2. They separated us by geography, behind mountains or beyond oceans, where we couldn't easily get to each other. See who worked out better.
Okay. Interesting theory.
I mean, you can't say that the Scandinavian people have white skin because the sun's angle, it comes in shallower in the northern reaches. Well, it didn't come in shallower in Argentina. There's not white people at the south tip of South America. It only worked one way. I don't think so. How did we get to Australia? We swam the ocean hoping for an island? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it gets you thinking. Because I've thought about that myself, and how it's spread out across the world, and there's definitely questions that need to be answered there for
People
sure.
Do you think they chose to stay in Alaska instead of turning left and heading toward Malibu? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think there's definitely there's unanswered questions there. The theory that they have for why that was spread out that way, I don't really buy into. So I'll say that. I'll at least say that.
Anyone that thinks a one-celled amoeba can naturally evolve into Arnold Schwarzenegger is dreaming. The genetics simply aren't that plastic. They don't have that kind of plasticity to make those kind of changes. It's simply not. It's not possible. It's not reasonable.
All right, and let me see. Derek Woo Writers, Derek Galloway, asking Derek, what alien races feed on humans the most, in your opinion?
Well, I've been told that the Draco reptilians are the ones that I've mostly heard of. I've been told that there are 6 or 7 others which do, but I don't know which they are. I couldn't say. But I've been told by many people that the Draco reptilians enjoy doing it, and that they sometimes regularly do it. They especially like young people because their bodies haven't been polluted by nicotine, caffeine, whatever. So that's all I really know about it. I've never seen it happen, but I've heard people who are in positions to know talk about it. That's all I can tell you about that. But I certainly wouldn't want to be in a position to see it happen.
Definitely.
I don't have
And
any reason to think it doesn't. They're carnivores, and we're, if you get right down to it, we're meat like any other animal, aren't we?
yeah. I mean, and like I say, with the cattle mutilations and the absence of blood remaining on the scene, it's obvious they're using blood for some reason.
They
I've
can use
been
cattle blood instead of human blood
and
if they need to. And after they invented a synthetic way to synthesize human blood, and the cattle mutilations went down drastically in number because they simply make this blood and secretly ship it off to them. So the cattle
definitely.
mutilations don't happen nearly as much as they did like in the 80s. They were happening all the time.
Yeah. And my theory on that is with any sort of research that's being done, the sometimes you end the trials, and maybe they've completed what they needed to do when it comes to that, which is why you don't see it a lot anymore. Just a theory, but Lightwalkers has made a comment says so. I guess the MH370 genetics are logical now. So if you could kind of elaborate more on what you mean by that, Lightwalkers, I would love to have that question answered. Um, as far as genetics and MH370, which we know Roger Murray is stating the Malaysian MH370 was taken by aliens. I don't know that that's true, but I wouldn't put it out of the possibility of, the realm of possibility. I don't know how you feel about that, Derek, but I know M130.
Well, I don't know about that specifically, but I know that in the galaxy at large, DNA is a currency. It's probably the most valuable currency that anyone has because it's the code of life. It's the secret of millions and billions of different life forms. All resides in the DNA code. And if you have some DNA that another species wants to use, why you can trade it for a lot of things. And I think that it's a very valuable means of currency between the races. And I think there's probably many things here on Earth that were brought here and released to see which would survive and which didn't. Some did, some didn't. Some went extinct. But it makes sense if you think that we were sort of a testing ground or a zoo for many things that come and release, maybe they come and release platypus, maybe they come and release elephants, who knows? But things that you can't, there's nothing showing an evolutionary tree from amoeba to giraffe. Okay. There's no half giraffe, half horse. There's nothing like that. So, some of these things I think were not native to here or were engineered.
So let me kind of elaborate on what it was Lightwalkers was talking about. If you guys can't see it there, let me see. So Lightwalkers was referring to with the M130. Let me bring this up here. M130, gene M130 is the marker of the first human migration that took place in India some 70,000 years ago.
Well,
So,
use your head. You see if you can find a way to take black people in 70,000 years and turn them into Chinese. How do you do that? And how do you turn them into Swedes? How do you do it so thoroughly that there's no evidence a black person ever existed in Sweden ever? How do you do that? I don't think you can. That's not how evolution works.
Yeah, the all life came from Africa theory. Okay, and I don't, truthfully, I would have to really look further into that because even with that, right? There's some questions I would have, and maybe that's a show that we can actually do and look into. Maybe
There's no
that'll be
evidence that
what
there
we
was
do.
black people anywhere in this world except Africa in the ancient times. You don't find any fossils of black people in China where they supposedly evolved into Chinese people. You don't find them in Southeast Asia. You don't find them in Europe. You don't find them in America. You don't find them anywhere. That simply can't be that way because if they'd have evolved, we would know it. The evidence would be there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There are definitely, for whatever reason, sections of the world that specific races have been for thousands and thousands of years. Now, the reason why that is, it'd be more of the question, right? Because I don't really, I can't really speak on that. So, what I'll do, I'm going to put a pin in that because that is actually a great topic to look into and
Nobody's
just have
explained
a
how we got to
conversation about.
Australia. Nobody's explained how humans got to Australia. There was not a civilization in Africa which ever invented a seaworthy ship on their own. How did they get
Right.
to Australia? Did they just
Plate
make a raft and stock some food and water and hope for the best?
plate
And that,
tectonics, I think, is what answers that. But I think plate tectonics is a logical. I could see where that happens, land
we haven't
masses, and
been here
now
that
they're
long.
separated.
We haven't been here that long.
Hmm.
The continents broke apart long before human beings were wandering around. If they hadn't, we'd be all over the place all at once.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, you may have something there. I can't really say in the moment. I'll have to kind of look into that. I can't agree or disagree with that statement. However, I do know that yeah, it's. I don't know if it goes quite far as back. It depends on how long you believe humans have been here. I guess would be the number one thing. I guess that'd be the question. How long do you think they've been here? Humans.
Well, I don't know, but we certainly haven't been here since Australia was connected to Gondwana land. That's millions and tens of millions of years for continents to move the way they are now from being all connected together. Uh, we haven't been here that long. If we have, I'm disappointed in our progress.
Okay, and so Paul Damon wants to see if you're able to explain the differences.
Between what?
I guess between evolution, the evolution of humans migrating across land masses and plate tectonics, I guess, and them,
Well, we could do a
I'm
whole show on
guessing.
that, I think.
I'm
Uh,
pretty sure we could, and I think we should because I
there
think it
simply
would.
isn't a time for the evolution is a slow, painfully slow progress process that it's never even really been proven to occur. There's no such thing as something that's half bear, half whale. You don't find any fossil evidence of a bear with a snorkel blowhole and a flat tail walking around. It simply doesn't make sense. There's not enough time in the time scale for things like this to happen. So it's that's why it's called a theory because there is no proof of it. You simply can't prove that it ever happened.
Right. And
You can
I'm totally with that. Evidence is the key and I'm not going to sit there and say one way or the other. What I will say is that we should definitely I would like to actually get the time to look into this particular topic and then maybe we can reconvene and set up another show where we can actually go
yeah.
over this.
Somebody said whales have finger bones and flippers. Well, they don't have finger bones. They have 5 bones in their flippers that would be finger bones to us, but they don't have fingers. How did they evolve from fingers to having flippers? How does that happen? You know, does a human just born with flippers want to say I'm going to go out to sea and become a whale? That doesn't really happen.
Well, I have some theories, and that's why it'll be good to do a show because I really have some theories which might be considered controversial on why these things are. Now, instead of just sitting here and blurting it out right now, I'd rather set up the research so we can actually do it in the right way. So we'll come back to this particular topic and we'll set up another show for this. But kind of moving on, let me just see if there's any other comments that have been starred here. No, it looks like that's it. Okay. So
the second
here's
book, I
what.
talk about evolution a lot more in detail also, by the way. You can get them on Amazon.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's bring you back here. Let's go about maybe 15, 20 minutes longer after the break. That way we can talk about the other book and kind of wrap things up. All right, do you have a few minutes for that?
Sure.
Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and do that. You guys, we're going to pause for the cause as we get ready to jump into our break. And we'll be back with hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio After Hours. If you have any further questions, we'll have about 20 minutes to go over those. So please submit those, put them in all caps, and we'll be right back. All right. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio after hour number 3 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, and welcoming back our guest for at least the next 20 minutes, Derek Tyler. And we were getting into some pretty deep stuff there at the end there. And there was a little clarification, Derek, on, I guess, what the audience and I guess myself as well are trying to figure out. So with the theory and what we were talking about as far as the different races being separated in different sections of the world, and so I guess one of the questions was that is so what is the basis on that? Are you saying that each race of human beings that we're not connected in some way, or that we come from different lineages?
Well, I'm not saying that we're not connected necessarily, but the theory of evolution doesn't have time enough for that to work, and there's no evidence that it actually occurred that way. There's no evidence of. I mean, if you think that everyone came from Africa, there's no evidence of black people evolving into Chinese or Southeast Asian people. There's no half and half.
Okay.
I mean, there'd be many more fossils of the mutating forms than there would be of normal forms. There'd have to be millions of them, right? I mean, how it simply can't be. We haven't been here long enough for that to happen, and there's no inherent advantage, such say to being Chinese or being black, that they would all now be Chinese with no trace of any black person ever living there. What's the advantage that made them all become Chinese instead of? I mean, it just logically doesn't make sense.
I understand what you're saying. That you're looking for where that transition would have occurred historically from Africans and then transferring into
There's no
becoming
evidence
a
that shows it ever
Chinese
occurred.
civilization. Okay, and I understand that. And like I said, I have a wild theory, and I don't really know how. I don't know if I'll go into it tonight, but okay. So with that being said, what is your theory on how each group appeared on Earth? What is your theory on
Well,
that?
I don't know, but to me it makes more sense to think that perhaps we were separated into different possible upgrades, let's say, or possible versions, right? And that they were separated by geography to see who fared the best, who lived and who died, who adapted the best, and we were separated by geography so that we wouldn't interbreed with each other until their experiment, let's say, was done. So you've got the Himalayan mountains keeping some people from others. You've got the oceans keeping people away. You've got a lot of geographical. How do Chinese people get to Europe? There's no easy way for that to happen, and it really didn't happen. And so it makes sense that there's no evidence that Chinese people evolved from anyone. You go back in their history; they've always been Chinese people, right? There's no evidence that the Eskimos evolved from anyone.
I can understand. I can understand exactly what you're saying. I mean, I get it. Now, for me, I'm a person that looks for the logic in it and then plausible explanations for things to try to figure out why things are. And I can agree with you on that. Now, I'll go. Yeah,
I don't know that that's what happened, but it's a sensible alternate explanation.
So then, so like we're like step siblings, essentially, is kind of what you're saying. And
Well, it's possible. Why not? There's no evidence that we're not. There's no evidence that we're not. There's no evidence. You see the drawings of apes evolving into humans. There's no evidence that any of those evolved into the next form at all.
my theory is, just to kind of go into it, is I think humans. I don't think I don't think we're native to this planet for one. Just period as humans. I feel like that at some point in time, just a theory, that we migrated from another star system, or even this star system, maybe another planet, potentially Mars, for example, and we moved here. And I think that kind of might go into what the whole arc story is all about, and kind of getting into that. So I think that we definitely period aren't from here. So I don't think that we were created here and we evolved into. I think we were brought here at some other point in time. And I mean, it could lean into theory, so your explanation of, showing that there's no proof on how these races kind of migrated or crossed over to each other to create the other race. So my whole thing is there could be something there, is where I'll say. We don't have enough evidence to be able to say one way or the other. I can just say that we ended up here, and here we are today.
And there's no reason for a race to evolve into something capable of building nuclear reactors. You don't need those to survive in the jungle. But how did that happen? Why did that happen? It's I'd like to see the evidence, but evolutionists say they have evidence, but they really don't. If they did, it wouldn't be a theory.
Yeah, and so here's what I'll say with Vaughn. Is stating, and appreciate your input on all this, Vaughn. I don't know what happened, but it's sensible. It may have happened. Why not? What's your proof? And so, going a little further into this.
Well, I don't have any proof. That's just an idea. I don't have any proof.
No. Me. I'm sorry, speaking on me. So my theory, because I think he's asking me about my theory about this here, and kind of what's the proof. And what I'll say is, I think we pretty much understand. Like I said before, we're sitting in something called space, which is infinite, and we can't wrap our mind around something being infinite. We rotate around this sun every single year. We travel through space on this rock. So there's a lot of things that point to we don't understand what's going on. And that's kind of the bottom line, and kind of where we started this conversation, because there's a lot of people out there who take positions of knowing everything and saying these are the definitive answers. And these are things that we have been taught over life, and we may find out that most of these things are incorrect. The whole evolution theory, and I can go with you on that, because I do think outside the box, and I think kind of what I think something plausible. I still think at in the end, we are all humans, and we are all connected, and we are all related as human beings, and we are, at this point today, as we stand, we are all one. Now, at some point in the deep past, did we come from different planets and to populate this planet? It's possible. The theory's out there. We don't really know. You know what I mean? And
we don't know anything. Science is a history of mistakes, sometimes later corrected.
Always corrected.
Not always. We're still wrong. Well, if you come back in 200 or 300 years, we'll find that what we believe now is we're wrong about almost everything.
No, I agree with you on that. With science on me, I think it's something that changes every 20 years, is revised every 20, 30 years.
And
sure.
The answers we have now are not the final answers. I certainly don't have final answers. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
No,
but I don't think. I mean, you're going to come back in 200 years. They're going to say, "Well, oil is not a fossil fuel. You can't crush fossils down and come out with oil. That's ridiculous. I mean, it can't be done." But that's what we believe now.
So let me ask you this question. I think it's a very important question. So today, in this moment, do you believe that we are all humanity and we are all as one?
Well, certainly we're all as one in our ultimate fate. Sure. I
Okay.
think it's great that we have different races. I think the variety is the spice of life here,
Yes.
and I don't have anything against that at all. I don't have anything against any particular race or color or anything. I think it's all wonderful, and
Okay.
we all have to share this world whether we like it or not. This is our home, and
Okay.
we're not going to be leaving anytime soon.
And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with having an open mind. And I'm okay with throwing theories out there because that's what these conversations are. We sit down and we have conversations to
I'm not talking about
theorize.
Puck. I'm not talking about coal, by the way. I'm talking about light, sweet crude oil. It's a different thing. Sorry.
Oh, where were you? What was that a reference to?
Puck asked if I've heard of where coal comes from. Coal
Ah,
is one
okay.
thing. It's not the same as oil.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can smash me for as long as you want. I'm not going to end up something that's combustible and you can pour in your engine.
Yeah, yeah. And here's the thing, right? Because normally,
And
like,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, we get oil from far deeper places than fossils have ever been found. By the way, too.
Right.
Fossils are all they're not nearly as deep as those oil wells are drilling. You know, in Gulf of Mexico are miles deep. Sometimes you don't get fossils from down that deep. If you imagine the Gawar oil field in Saudi Arabia is something like 19 miles wide, 72 miles long, and several miles deep. How do you get that many fossils to make something that big? Think of it. How many fossils does it take to make that much oil? You can't even come up with a number like that. So I don't believe it's true. It's just something that, well, I don't want to get into it too much, but that was invented
Well,
in order to make it seem like oil was a finite supply, so they could jerk the price around any way they wanted to.
I could tell you, like I said, this we can go so many different ways on that conversation, and these are sometimes, like I said, usually on my channel we have the conversations that are really tough to have, and we're having that here today, and it's not really that. So, and I think what it is, I think the perception of it was from a lot of the guests that we are different as far as we are not. Like a separation sort of situation where you're saying that
We're
we're all
brothers and
separate.
sisters, whether we like it or not. All of
We
us.
we
We share
are.
this planet, and the fate of this world will be the fate of every one of us, regardless of where we live or what color we are. It doesn't matter. We're the human race, and that's how it is.
Beautifully said, and I agree with you on that. So, just so for everyone out there who may have not been a little confused on how that is, I mean, I would totally. It just if we think about the creation or whatever the explanation for the creation of the universe is, the Big Bang Theory. Me personally, there's some people who totally buy into Big Bang Theory. I really don't buy into Big Bang Theory. I really don't. It doesn't seem logical to me, Big Bang Theory. So, I mean, this is the same conversation as far as human origin, and there could be 1,000 answers for why it turned out the way that it did, and we unfortunately we won't know that story, the answers to those things today. We may not know them in our lifetime. It'll be something down the line. But one thing that we all agree on here is that we are all one. We are all humanity, and it's going to take all of us to go ahead and get through this to kind of figure out where we're going from here.
You know, I got
So,
bored one winter, and I wrote an email to Stephen Hawking. It was titled "The Big Bang is Stupid and Impossible," and I explained why I thought that was. And I figured he's either never going to answer someone like me, or if it comes to fisticuffs, I can probably outrun him. Hopefully, before he can get up and beat my ass. But he had one of his graduate students write back to me and say they didn't think I really understood the Big Bang Theory. So I wrote back and said, well, of course I don't, because it's stupid and impossible. Didn't you read my letter? And that was a conversation killer. I never heard from him again.
yeah, well, I just want to make sure because I know when we touch on topics like this, emotions kind of run high, and some people take things the wrong way. So what I just want to make sure that let everybody know that your opinions are valid out there, right? I mean, your emotions are valid as well. I mean, we kind of clarified on what it is we're talking about here,
And
and
I'm not telling anyone to believe what I say. You don't have to believe me at all. you can just take it all and throw it away if it doesn't suit you. But as far as I know, I'm speaking the truth, and that's all I have to go by.
Yeah. I mean, we all have theories, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay, man, because until you have a different answer to the question, until we get the question answered, you're gonna have 1,000 theories out there on how this actually happened. So, I'm glad that we touched it, and I'm glad that we kind of got that clarified. So, with that being said, yeah, excellent. And we should actually set up another show where maybe we can. I'll set it up to where we can tackle that in a different way. So let's do this, Derek. Let's talk about your books. Where can we find those? And kind of let's sell the books for a moment here.
You can find them on Amazon.com. It's the only place they're for sale. Just look up the titles, and they're information dense. The second one I included some photos. The first one does not have any photos. It's all just text. But they took a year and a half each to write, and they'll give you a different point of view on some things that I guarantee you've never heard of will be in those books. I've got interviews with a couple of people that you'll not have had access to, but I just happened to stumble across, I guess. One of them was, as I said, a colonel in the military, became a general later. One was a good friend of mine who was electrical engineer that was hired to reverse engineer technology from crash sites. And there's a lot of other information in there that I'm just trying to put it all out there. That some of the things that I've learned, I didn't want it to die with me, I guess is the way to say it. There's a lot I didn't touch on, but there's a lot I did touch on. And I've got a couple more books after that in the series that I'm working on right now. Hopefully I'll be publishing those too, because there's so much to get to, and there's so little time, and no matter how much you learn, you can never know it all. And if you think you do, you're a damn fool.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. It's a never ending. I learn more every single day, and I'm up for having the tough conversations. And I'll make sure that we set this up so we can actually do that and do it in a way where we can make sure that we're delivering good information to the people. But I think we put a decent cap on it tonight. So with that being said, I do appreciate you, Derek, coming in. We'll have to set it
My
up
pleasure.
next time too, where we can set up the video as well. So I'll talk to you about that behind the scenes. Maybe we can run some tests so we can see if we can get that working for you. And yeah, outside of that, definitely appreciate you coming in. You have a good rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you shortly.
Okay, thanks. Thank you all, friends, for coming by.
All
Been a
right,
pleasure.
Derek. Yes, sir. We'll do it again. Take
Good
care.
night.
All right, guys. Tough conversations, right? I mean, not really tough conversation, but there's controversial parts of this phenomena and the answers to life and why we are what we are. It can go deep. And I think we sort of kind of went down that road. I want to set this up so we can do maybe a show around, because I think it's important when we get to parts of the conversation that are tough to have. It's better to have the conversation than to not, and to gain some sort of understanding, which I think we did right there, because I think initially a lot of people looked at what was being said as some sort of separationist sort of vision but I don't really think that is what's being said there. I think just thinking it through, if we just look at humanity, and I think that's one of the other things, right? We're looking at, which we should look at things through an equality, humanity lens. Everyone comes in as equal. But, and I agree with that, because, that's what I'm about. But yeah, when you get to nuts and bolts of looking at the particulars of why we're here, how we first got here, what was our first day like, what was the order in how things happened, there's a deeper conversation to be had there. and some people may get offended by it. Um, I'm going to always, you know, speak where I have the knowledge for one. So for the evolution piece so that'll be something that I'll be looking into on my own, so we can prepare to have that show. But yeah, I'm all about the tough conversations, and you guys know that by now. Um, so I hope no one was offended by any of Mr. Tyler's comments there, because I don't, when I looked at it on the surface, I think after him elaborating, I think it's a situation where you can kind of understand, why questions like that would be posed, or why theories like that would be posed. There's a baseline understanding on why those things would be questions. And to add to that, we're definitely in a situation right now in this moment where we know we don't know all the answers. So we can't really reject theories without being able to disprove a theory, right? One person has a theory about this, another person has a theory about that. There's 15 different theories. They're all great until we get the answers. Those theories are relevant and they sit on the table until we have evidence to kind of knock some of those things off. And that's kind of the progress. And it's a taste in what we just had tonight, a taste in how tough the conversations could be going forward when it comes down to figuring this thing out. But it's a path that we're gonna have to take, and we're gonna run across those moments where you may totally disagree with someone saying, right? And I think it was I don't think it was done. I don't think it was articulated in the best fashion initially, but I think we went ahead and were able to kind of get that cleared up. Yeah, no, and I'm not talking about you, Lord. I'm just talking in general because I want to make sure I cover everybody who actually watched and engaged in the conversation. That I understand that there is a portion of people who kind of looks, may have perceive what was being said. I could see where the disconnect was on that and how that needed to be kind of cleared up there. So, um, and it's still a great question. I mean, how that's how long they've been separated, and just a question on the whole. There are definitely, when you look at the planet, there's, when you look at China, China's been in its same spot and with the same race of people for tens of thousands of years, longer than that, I'm sure. Same thing with Africa, tens of thousands of years in different parts of the world. Now, do we really know why that was the case? We don't, right? So at the end of the day, don't take offense at it. Great conversation, and I think we were doing okay here. So we will definitely make sure that we go ahead and have this conversation again on on a show specifically for this. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the chat here. And I appreciate the passion, man. That means you guys care. That means you care about the conversations that we're having, and I appreciate that because, I'm the first to tell you there are gonna be a lot of tough conversations and topics that, on our journey that we're gonna cross and cover. That, you know, and it's just what it is, man. It's you know, signed up for the job. This is where we're at, and that's what we're doing. So. Um, let's check the chats. Let's see. Let's make sure what we're looking at here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great comment. Paramarv agreed this should be about free exchange of ideas, and Mr. Tyler came across as respectful even when disagreeing. Right, agree to disagree. I think that's kind of where we're at. In the get used to it, guys. Get used to it. I mean, we protect ourselves from hearing certain views and, things that we perceive to be against the things that we believe. But when you walk into a space where everyone has an open mind, then you may hear something that you didn't agree with. But it's not about that. It's about understanding why you don't agree with it, and then getting questions answered to kind of um, either help you see it a different way potentially, or not. Right? Let's see. All right. Now we're doing good, guys. I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of you guys. I really am proud of you guys, and I don't think anyone reacted in a bad way. Race is always going to be a touchy subject, and I love everyone, right? I love all races. I think we're all one, and I think we're all one, and we're gonna figure this out together. Let's see. Yeah, agree with you, Karen, in the Wu Train. I think he made some great points, and the point got a bit lost in the delivery. It's a hard topic, but I think he got his point as well as the divisive feeling. Looking forward to the next time. Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I can't actually wait to have that conversation um, and other ones. I'm looking through the chat to see what else we have here. Let's see. But I love it, man. I love that you guys were able to participate and kind of get through this. And this is a tough one, right? When you get in the race, it gets really rocky and iffy, and I'm just so glad to see you guys come out on the other side of that, and with enlightenment, understanding alternative perspective, and I'm just really proud of you guys because that means, with that being kind of there's other tough things, and it just shows that you guys should do awesome whenever we do touch those other things, and it kind of opens us up to having more of those tough conversations. So I loved it. Let's see here. Yeah, Jim says next question is, what is science? Exactly. Exactly. We could go down that rabbit hole as well, and there's some people who have deep beliefs in the scientific method and the answers that science provides, but then there's a whole other side of that conversation that says science is bunk and science is let me give you my best guess in the moment sort of situation where it often changes over time, like we talked about with the guest. Every 20 years, it seems like science is altering their outlook on our history and trying to re-explain things. You have James Webb Telescope out there unlocking and creating new questions on a daily basis. So, dude, we are not in a position where anyone can sit up and say uh, what is good and what isn't. Let's see. Yeah. So explain this, Vaughn. Rob, I'm used to it, but when you contradict yourself in a state, my opinion. So you're talking about the guest. Okay. That's okay. That's okay, Vaughn. I appreciate you being a part of the conversation, and you got to ask those tough questions, and that's just what it is, guys. It's all good. It's all good. So with that being said, I think let's see. Let me make sure there's no other comments here before we move on. Um, I like you. I like it, Puck L. Science is a logical pursuit of evidence, nothing more. Totally want to know you guys felt. Let's see. Science Hogwash. Let's see. No, you're good, Vaughn. I love it. I love it, Vaughn. If you ever been to my channel, The Social Dig, you're gonna. If you go over there, what we talked about tonight is nothing. We get so deep, okay, over there at The Social Dig, and the type of conversations that we have over there. You could look at we just the last couple about a week or so ago. We had a really awesome conversation. A couple weeks before that, another tough conversation. Capitalism, all sorts of things that we should be talking about. So make sure you guys go ahead and give a follow. Let me go ahead and put this out here. And Sovereign wants to know, Space Radio, I'm curious, how did you find out about Derek Tyler? Put my tentacles out there, and I have a thing what I do with the viewers out there where I look for some of the people that you guys request to be seen. He was on a list of guests that were requested to be seen by our viewers. And, I looked into the things that he's done in the past. And look, when it comes to the conversation, different perspectives are going to be had because we are all making theories. And the whole purpose, long term, of what I want to do with these conversations is make sure that we're covering all those different perspectives. So even though, this shall pass, you'll go to sleep tonight. This will make you think. You'll think about what it is that was talked about today. That was the purpose of going ahead and doing what we did tonight. So let me do this here. Because I don't know how many. I mean, if you enjoyed the tough conversation tonight, I really think that you guys will enjoy this here. So I'm going to put this in the chat. Give me just a moment. Okay, that is the link right there. So make sure that you guys, if you were into having these tough conversations, there's more that we've had. Go right here to this channel, youtube.com/@MrRobG, where I have a show called The Social Dig. A lot of you here have been over there and have taken part, have come on stage, and have voiced your opinion. So, Vaughn, that may be a good place for us to get together over at The Social Dig, where you have the opportunity to just come up on stage and have the conversation. And this will definitely be something that we do. But tough conversations, make sure you go right here, youtube.com/@MrRobG. Subscribe to The Social Dig. Click the notification bell. You are guaranteed to find in our archive over there a lot of tough conversations that we've already had, and there are definitely more to come. So if you haven't subscribed, we'd love to have you come over there and do that. Let's see. And if you haven't already, click the like button, right? Let's make this go viral. We talked about some deep stuff tonight, and let's make this thing get out there as much as possible because it's important for these conversations to be out there. So let's do that. Let me see. And Brandon Coast has it right. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Let me see. Do I have the soundbite for that? I think I do.
Bluetooth off.
There we go. Where's it at?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
And another soundbite for the moment.
You can't handle the truth.
They can't handle the truth. So we're going to keep having these conversations. But what we're going to do right now, let's go ahead and move this in a different direction. We only have 20 minutes here. So let's go ahead and get into. We're gonna do something. I mean, similar but a little different to what we're normally used to here, and that's gonna be. I think you know what time it is. So we're gonna do something a little different though. I know I had some stuff. Let me bring this up here. So spaced out trivia, but it's not really spaced out trivia. What it's gonna be is we're gonna do some spaced out riddles tonight. So we're just gonna kind of go through these and see what we can do here. So these ones are going to be a little tougher, right? Aloha, Dave. Thank you for your support of Spaced Out Radio. Rob, this was an amazing show tonight. You did a fabulous job as an interviewer. I appreciate it. Thanks much. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Really do. Aloha, Dave. Thanks for your support. Let's see. And I'll take this, Pug Elf. Pug Elf is awesome, man. For real talk about race relations, being a white AF country Aussie and Aboriginal, I usually don't get one with African Americans and bandanas. But Rob's effing legendary, best thing an Aussie can say. Love it, Pug Elf. Thanks for your love and support. I do appreciate you, and I do get it. I do get it. Deborah Jane East says, yes, great job, Rob. I appreciate you, Deborah Jane East. If you guys haven't, please make sure we hit that like button here. And let's go. Let's go. Puck Elf with the cosign. I had one of my best live chats ever calling into Rob's show. So once again, youtube.com/@MrRobG. Go ahead, subscribe to the Social Dig, and check out some of our past conversations. All right. So with that being said, let's get into a couple riddles, right? I thought that'd be a little different. So we're gonna start right here. This isn't really official. Well, let me make it official because I'll never be able to live it down if I don't. So how am I gonna do this here? Give me just a second. So I want to do this the official right way. No pressure to anyone out there. No pressure. Okay. All right. Here we're going to go ahead and do a few here. Hey Maggie M10, thanks for coming on in tonight. We had a tough conversation, Maggie. If you're just getting in, may want to hit that rewind. It was going down tonight. All right, so first one, riddles, UFO, paranormal, space, cryptid related, right? So let's just see what we get. What do you call a UFO that loves to garden? What do you call a UFO that... No, that doesn't work. Cancel that one. I'm looking at the answer. I don't get it. So let me just get to the next one. What's a ghost's favorite dessert? What's a ghost's favorite dessert? Answer is... ice cream. Oh, okay. Poncho Zort got it. Poncho Zort. Let me go ahead and mark you down. Poncho Zort came at the buzzer. It's ice cream. What did the alien say to the cat? What did the alien say to the cat? You guys might not know this one. Here we go. You're pretty daggone close, Brown Dwarf, but that's not it. I'll tell you. Take me to your litter. Take me to your litter is what the alien said to the cat. Okay. What did the Bigfoot say to the camper? What did the Bigfoot say to the camper? Okay, so I'll just go. If you don't, we'll give it like 30 seconds each one. If you don't get it, I'll go on. So, what did the Bigfoot say to the camper? Last chance here. The answer is, you're in big trouble. That's what the Bigfoot said to the camper. You're in big trouble. Why did the astronaut break up with his girlfriend? Why did the astronaut... Okay, let me go back. What did the Bigfoot say to the camper? You're in big trouble. Meaning I'm about to eat you. So why did the astronaut break up with his girlfriend? I'm going to give this one to Poncho Zork. We'll go with she was spaced out. The answer is because he needed space. He needed more space. But since that's a spaced out answer, spaced out radio answer, I'll go ahead and give that to you, Poncho Zork. So, what do you get when you cross an alien with a chicken? What do you get when you cross an alien with a chicken? What do you get when you cross an alien and a chicken? Okay, time's up. An extraterrestrial. An extraterrestrial. That's kind of funny. What do you call a haunted chicken? What do you call a haunted chicken? What do you call a haunted chicken? Soup? I don't know. Oh, you are so close, Lex. What do you call a haunted chicken? 5, 4. Oh, okay, Poncho Zork. Poncho Zork is killing it. It's a poultrygeist. Of course, it's a poultrygeist. What else would it be? All right, nice. Why don't aliens eat clowns, guys? Why don't aliens eat clowns? Why don't aliens eat clowns? I'm going to give that to Lex Diaz because, I mean, you can get only as close as you can, right? Lex Diaz came closest. They don't like funny food. The real answer is Because it tastes funny. Because they taste funny. What kind of music do planets like to listen to? Maybe only a portion of you will get this, but what kind of music do planets like to listen to? Some of you only get this. I'll give you the answer. It's going to be Neptunes. Neptunes is a band, is a group, in case you guys didn't know. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, I don't like that one. Let me see here. Why did the ghost go to the party? Why did the ghost go to the party? I like that, Pucko. Why did the alien... Wait. I lost it. Why did the ghost go to the party? The ghost went to the party to boogie. To boogie. I'll give that to Maggie M10. She came in at the buzzer. It's to boogie. What do you call a ghost's favorite ride at the amusement park? What do you call a ghost's favorite ride at the amusement park? Puck Elf. Amazing. A roller coaster. That is exactly right. That is awesome. All right. And these other ones don't make sense. Let's see. Yeah, these ones aren't that great, guys. Okay. What did the astronaut say when he crashed into the moon? What did the astronaut say when he crashed into the moon? What did the astronaut say when he crashed into the moon? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. He says, oh my gosh. Okay, Poncho Zork. Are you Googling these? Because you got that one right too, god dang it. Poncho Zork, I apologize. Apollo. Like Apollo. I apologize. All right. Let's see. Why did the astronaut break up with his computer? I don't know if you get this one because it doesn't make sense. It says I'll give you the answer. It had too many space bars. I don't get that one. Maybe I'm overlooking that. I don't get it. Next one is, what did the alien say to the garden? What did the alien say to the garden? We'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Buzzer. It's take me to your weeder. Take me to your weeder. Take me to your weeder. Oh, that was good. Okay. Okay, these aren't good ones. Okay, why was the moon always broke? Why was the moon always broke? Why was the moon always broke? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Because it went through so many phases. The moon is broke because it's been through so many phases. What did the alien say to the gas station attendants? What did the alien say to the gas station attendant? We'll get at the Joe Monk. Got part of the answer. It's actually, take me to your leader. And by the way, fill her up. Great job, Joe Monk. All right, so that's it. Let's see who came out on this trivia here. These riddles. Got Pancho Zork with 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lex Diaz with 1. Maggie with 1. Puck Elf with 1. Joe Monk with 1. So Pancho Zork is the winner for tonight. Definitely appreciate you participating in the trivia kind of last minute thing. Like I said, yeah, this is how you lighten up the mood, man. I think we had a great show, even though some people look at the controversy there and with some of the topics there, but I definitely just appreciate you guys being here to do it. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and thank all of our super chatters for the night. Looks like we have welcome to the show. Thank you for your support. Vaughn, all night long. Vaughn. Appreciate your support of Spaced Out Radio We do appreciate it. Thanks for participating in the conversation tonight as well. Same thing with you, Aloha Dave. And that's how we ended. Rob, this was an amazing show tonight. Did a fabulous job as an interviewer. Thanks much. I do appreciate the comments, the sentiment, the participation, the love, all of the above. And with that being said, you guys are all space travelers. Consider taking the next step and join the club. That's right. You can join the Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 per month by going on and hitting up our Patreon and becoming a member. With that being said, to all our viewers and listeners all across the globe, thanks for tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. What's that you ask? We own the night. Take care. Here's the new outro. Let me know what you think. Have a great rest of your night. Take care.